Episode. And with you, your host, Asel. So stoked to be here. And today I'm actually talking about my journey of how I did it and how I left the system or the humanitarian work. And this is the reason why I'm recording this is because I have been getting a lot of requests for exchange of views or sharing experiences with other humanitarians as to how I have done it in my work of leaving the career and leaving all the things in order to start something new, and how was that journey. And the latest that I have received was a very also interesting message where someone wrote to me saying that, oh, we have been discussing our midlife crisis, no, mid-career crisis, with another colleague, and therefore they mentioned that you have escaped the system, and I wanted to know how you did it. This is the latest message I have received, and therefore, for anyone who's interested and wanting to know about my journey of how I have done it, I wanted to do this video so I can reference it later as well. So, I want to talk about reasons why I left it and my story of where I was before, and also how I have made it successful in the way that I like and in the way that I define success. And therefore, I am hoping that this will serve as another example of what is possible in the world that we can create, as long as this is truly what we want to be doing. So, first, let me start with a bit of a background. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am Asel Ormonova, a humanitarian turned life coach, and I come from Kyrgyzstan, and I have worked in different countries outside of Kyrgyzstan as well, in emergency and non-emergency contexts, in both situations, and both with refugees and displaced people in the world. Now, I used to work for an organization, a love of my life, and the reason why I'm not mentioning it here is I don't think that they would want me to be mentioning them in the video, so that's why I'm not mentioning it. But many of you can find me on the internet, and of course, you will see me about my past as well. So I want to start first with reasons why I have left it, because I think that's what's most, for many people, that's the most interesting thing that they want to know about. And therefore, I will go a bit into the story of where it all came around, right? So that's why it may not sound chronological, but I hope you will still appreciate why I'm doing this. So I'm putting the most important parts in the beginning while your attention is fresh. So the reason why I left my employer where I was working for 10 years as a humanitarian, and my latest work or my latest job was as a head of office. The biggest reason that I have come to realize is that I wanted to do a work where I can really see the results of. I also wanted to do the work where I have been doing this with lots of teams, lots of people. And then I always felt like the input that we're putting, the outcome or the output was not matching the input. Meaning, in other words, that I felt like we were doing a lot of the work to create something, to create the impact we wanted, but the outcome was not as much as I thought it could be, it should be, right? According to my evaluation, my analysis. And therefore, I found myself oftentimes in situations where I felt like I needed to justify why I was doing this work, why it still matters, even knowing all the limitations. And then I realized that I didn't want to be really in the place where I have to always justify why what I'm doing makes sense, or why it matters, or why it matters to go through lots of different hurdles to get to create that result that I really wanted for the people who are suffering from conflict, wars, and other catastrophes, right? So that's why I think the biggest reason for me was that I really wanted to do the work where I felt like I was successful because I knew the reasons why. Here are the results. Here are the outcomes that I have created with my team, and therefore feeling successful, feeling fulfilled, feeling satisfied. This is the work I wanted to do instead of feeling successful because I have a very big title or because I have a big paycheck or because I have struggled through a lot of the hurdles and survived. That's not the reason why I wanted to be successful, or that's not the reason why I wanted to feel good about my work and about my abilities that are being spent on, right? So that's why this was the first biggest reason why I wanted to change and do the work that really for me at the time felt like if I do this work, I also know what the outcome of this will be. And then seeing the outcome of my work, then feeling um, like grateful for that work that I have done and understanding why I have done it, what came out of it. This is the work I wanted to do, right? That's the biggest reason. And the other reason also was that I really realized after having done a lot of my work on myself, I have realized that I wanted to do everything out of like deep inner freedom, that this is what I want to do. Where up until then, when I had my career, I think I was just following one thing after another, or whatever is available, whatever um, opportunities come up. And there were amazing opportunities, and I'm so grateful for all of them. It's just that I felt like I was always reacting to things. I was always surviving from one thing to another. I was always um, like trying to grab the next opportunity because I was told that this is how you grow your career. And I don't think in the beginning I even wanted to grow a career. I think my goal in the beginning when I joined the organization, I just wanted to work with refugees. That was the whole goal, right? And then as I grew in my career ladder, and I think I just got into this, oh, I will just do this thing and this thing so I can get to this thing. And then it was just like, always trying to arrive somewhere was somehow the lifestyle, and I didn't want to be always arriving somewhere, but rather I felt like I really wanted to live in the places where I want to, be with my loved ones where I want to, and also doing the work that I want to, instead of just going from one thing to another, wanting to arrive from one thing to another, or like keep reacting to things, but rather proactively, intentionally doing things, choosing things because I want to choose it, choosing like destinations, choosing how I spend my time, choosing how I spend my energy. These were more priorities at the time, and that's why I wanted to follow them. So when I say this, is it took me like when I resigned from my last employer, it was I gave the notification to my employer. It was April 2020, and that's when the COVID was very high. And at the time, I had my great job, my great career, my fixed term contract, and everyone was saying that finally you have gotten your appointment, and everything was like shiny, amazing, right? And then still having this feeling of no, something is not right, or something is not the way that I thought it would be. And feeling like when I arrive at this stage, I would be doing lots more impact. I would be doing lots more outcomes. I would be doing so much work to be helpful to the people. And then the reality was different than what I had expected. When I had those things, then resigning to do something that I really want to do on my own seemed like a very no brainer decision. And I really want to highlight again that in order to get to that decision, it took me from 2015 until 20, basically 5 years to prepare myself, right? So that's important. And when I started coaching myself and getting coached, I actually did not do that with the aim of leaving the humanitarian world. At the time when I started, it was 2015. I was suffering from lots of burnout and depression. I was in a hospital for my jaw surgery in Germany, and at the time I was working for Georgian operation. And then when I was sitting in or like lying in bed at the time in the hospital, I turned 30, or I was about to turn 30, sorry. And then I was lying there with all the pain on my face. I was feeling like I just didn't see the reason to live at the time, right? And because of this burnout and depression, it was so heavy. I like not only that my surgery was creating lots of pain, but the consequences of surgery, but also I just felt like I was so empty, numb, and I didn't really want to live anymore because up until that point, for 30 years of my life, I felt like I was just surviving and feeling like victim of my life the whole time. I felt like the level of feeling victim of my life for all the things that went wrong in my life. I was just so focused on that, and I was just telling myself that, well, if I wasn't adopted, then all of this problem wouldn't happen. If I had better managers, then this wouldn't happen. If everyone loved me, then this wouldn't happen. If I had relationships, then this wouldn't happen. Whatever it is, right? So I was so much in that victim mindset of trying to just keep above the water, so to say, not to drown, but at the same time realizing that I'm so tired of feeling tired. And I think this is the phrase I keep saying a lot to my people is that at that time, I thought, okay, I need to find a way to change this. And if I don't, then I just don't see the point of living. This was my, at the time, this realization is that either I change something about what's going on in my life, or I just don't see the point of living. And that's when I started asking around as to what I could do. And a lot of people have suggested to me psychologists, and the reason I didn't want to go to a psychologist at the time was because I just felt like they're going to tell me all these diagnoses. At the time, I was sick with many other physical symptoms, and like lots of doctors were diagnosing these things. And then I felt like this going to a psychologist would be another diagnosis that I just can't handle it. And I don't want to do that. And also, I didn't want to go into the past of how all my past is traumatic experiences, which I knew that was the case, right? So that's why I did not want to dig in the past, basically. And then I thought, okay, how can I build the future now? Now that all the things that I know have happened, I know how they have happened. I know also a bit of why they have happened, but I just felt like I didn't know how to get myself out of that situation. And therefore, I have found coaching in that moment, like searching in YouTube, and I have found the podcast. Um, excuse me, podcast from the life coach school, and then I started listening to them and watching all the things that they had to offer at the time, and then slowly started applying whatever I have been learning to myself. Excuse me. In the beginning, I didn't have any coach. I was, excuse me, I just was applying whatever I heard to myself, and then slowly realizing that I was just so much of being victim of my own life and felt like I wasn't in charge of my life. I felt like I realized that my life was just running on its own, and I was running on my own, but trying to catch up my life and never able to do that. This is how it felt like. And then slowly, I started getting coached by other coaches, and then I started realizing that how I live my life basically is totally up to me. And I think that was the part when it hit me is that, well, if I'm in charge of how I live my life, No matter what happens, no matter who says what, no matter what my circumstances are, then I get to decide whatever I want to do. And then, of course, all of these practical questions start popping up, right? Practical questions like at the time I was taking care of 7 families back in home, back in Kyrgyzstan, financially. I have actually always took care of my family financially since I went to study in Germany with a scholarship, and that was when I was, I don't know, 18 or 19 years old. So that's why I have always taken care of my family financially and many other extended families. And then immediate question is, oh my God, if I want to do what I really love doing, then how am I going to support my family? Right. And then I thought, okay, I could save up for the first years and then hopefully I will be able to uh, live off my work later as I grow and as I get better at it. And then that's what my like solution at the time was. And the other question that my brain at the time offered that, well, if you go out and do this thing and then you fail, then you have lost all your career opportunities, all your internal status, all the way people knew you, and now you will go back and feeling all the shame, feeling like, oh my God, she just tried to exit and leave the system and she failed horribly. And this was like my image. Basically, I was so afraid of feeling judged for all the failures that may befall on me, right? And in those moments, I also realized that, well, how I react to those judgments is up to me. That's what I know from my coaching with my coaches, right? So how I react to people's judgments is up to me. And learning the skill of how I process whatever emotions I have, whatever it is, shame, disappointment, all of this, that's totally up to me. And I have practiced doing that and learning that skill a lot. And also, my answer to that question was that if I do return, I will always be able to get a job because I have the experience. And even if my previous employer wouldn't take me for whatever reason, then I'm willing to do this somewhere else because I'm not worried about my ego, basically. Right. And also, I always had this feeling that my employer was my family somehow. And it's just like in the family, even if you graduate and leave the family, but if for whatever reason you feel like you are now divorced or resigned or fired from your job, you just go back to your parents' house. My previous employer sounded to me always like that type of place that I could always go back to if I wanted to, right? So that's why that comforted me and helped me make the decision. And then in the last I think so. 2000. Uh, so by the time I was out of hospital, 2015 and 2016, I was already working on my depression and burnout, and I felt like I was already over that. By 2016, I came to Ukraine to work, and then I felt like all my depression was gone. I was feeling so much in charge of what I do, how I do this, and I had amazing teams. And then I started working there. And at that time, again, I didn't have any intention to leave the organization. In fact, I was so happy that I was getting promoted and I was getting positions that I really wanted. In this was 2018 when I got my appointment to become the head of office and internal candidate and fixed term. So all the things were going amazing. And then I have took up my role as a head of office, and there were lots of challenging situations that I went through. And then, of course, by the time it was 2020, I realized that this is not how I want to be continuing working and creating the impact I wanted. And at the time, I asked myself this very question, very simple question, which is, do I really see myself growing in this ladder in the long run? Right? If I do see myself growing in the ladder, then where will I go? And I suspected it might be some higher positions that I may go, great, but do I really want to perform those roles, take up those roles, and do that work with all heart and soul? Or will I be always internally criticizing myself the whole time why this doesn't make sense, or why I don't want to do this, or keep creating resistance, which I didn't want to do, right? So therefore, then the alternative was, okay, I want to work on whatever I love working on. And that was at the time coaching. And that's why I have decided to go for it and start saving 20. I saved all the money that I could from my employment. And then in April, I gave the resignation, and then I worked until December 2020. And then I left and then I took the special leave without pay that was available at the time, which allows me to leave the organization not being paid, but still keep my status as an internal candidate so that I had the option to go back. And I took that for 6 months. So this was actually the second time I resigned. The first time I resigned was 2013. And the reason why I really want to mention that part is because the first time when I resigned, I felt like I was just escaping. I felt like I was escaping all the people around me. I was escaping the people that I didn't like, and I just felt so much in this victimy mood of, because of you guys, because of this thing, I'm leaving and I don't care where. And then I was just like, all the way leaving to nowhere basically, and then soon finding myself in this place of, oh my god, I need to somehow feed my family, and I need to be doing something, otherwise I lose my head. And I just thought that I would love my freedom of doing nothing. And then it turns out that I'm not good at doing nothing. So therefore, after I think 7 months or so, I returned, having done volunteer work here and there. And then I realized that I just couldn't live without the employer at the time. And therefore, I came back. And the reason why I mentioned that is that I realized then that if I escape something, if I just avoid and don't want to deal with something, then it doesn't work. I will always end up then coming back, as if life wants to teach me a lesson to go back to the place where you have unresolved issues, right? Or those unresolved issues keep popping up in different ways for you to learn the lesson. This is what it felt like. So that's why when I returned, and then the second time when I was resigning, I knew that I wanted to complete this chapter and start a new chapter. If I didn't, then it would feel like as if my past is haunting me and I didn't want to. And therefore, the last, like 2019 and 20, last 2 years especially, I have created all the conditions of feeling good about my work, doing the things that I wanted to do, setting boundaries, and all the things that I wanted to apply, um, like all the things that showed to myself that I wasn't avoiding or escaping it, but rather I'm creating so much great conditions. And then I would be leaving because I really showed to myself this is a choice that I'm making, instead of just I have to leave because I can't tolerate it or whatever else. Right. So now I want to talk about how I have made it successful, meaning what I'm defining success by currently, and I have been defining it, alluding in the beginning of my conversation as well, is that the way that I have been defining my success is my life where I do what I love doing in the places where I love being, with the people I love spending time with, in charge of my time and energy, and create the impact I want that is tangible, that's seeable, that's like touchable. And through this work, I get paid well, and then I live off that work. This is my definition of success, where I really feel like I know why I'm successful, how I'm successful, what are the results that I have been able to create together with my clients, and that showing that success and that achievement makes me so much fulfilled and proud and so much grounded, so much love for what human brain and heart can do. And this is success for me. And that I have been able to do, especially this year. And I will be talking more about my achievements of my work, I think, in the beginning of next year. This is what I'm planning to do at least. But what I really want to show that I had the indicator for myself when I was leaving that as long as I can replicate my latest salary from my latest job, I will be successful from financial terms. Therefore, my transitioning was successful. And as long as I do the things that I love, that will be another indicator of my transitioning success. And I feel like that I have created so far. And I have replicated and even more of my salary. I have been doing the work that I love doing. I have been able to create my impact in the smallest and biggest ways possible. I have helped my clients create that freedom, create that space between them only dedicating their time to work, but also dedicating time to their personal lives, creating relationships, creating new businesses, leaving humanitarian work, or returning to humanitarian work, all the ways that I was able to help so many of my clients from, I don't even remember how many countries now, I think over 20 countries if I'm not mistaken. And I've considered this a great success that I feel very proud of and very privileged to be serving my clients. And the reason that I have, I think, been able to make this successful is because of continuous coaching on myself as to how we can always do the things we love and be successful for it. And I think that's also the reason why I was successful back in my previous employer, where I really wanted to do the job. I didn't really care about anything else, but uh, being able to serve those refugees and asylum seekers, those people who are displaced, being able to serve them in the most efficient, effective way possible. This was my only goal. And I feel like that has led me to being in very high positions, in very successful positions. And currently, I feel the same way. Is like as long as I follow doing what I really love, and I'm so believing that this is how I can make the difference in my circle with people that come to me. That is what gives me so much joy, so much feeling of fulfillment, and that's what I want to be doing. And therefore, the financial side becomes a side effect almost, or even like they just follow. Um, so financial freedom somehow follows my inner freedom to be doing the work I love in the world. And again, it has always and up to now created a lot of challenges that I went through. And I think I will do another video on those challenges separately so that you can see what challenges that are there for anyone who is starting something new, who is building something new may face. And of course, everyone's journey is different, right? But I just feel like I'm so grateful that I have gone through those challenges. Excuse me. But also that those challenges have opened up so much of what I'm capable of, so much of what's possible for myself and for my people, and being example of that. And I feel like every one of us in the workplace, in our personal lives, are always examples for other people, right? Whether for the worse or for the better. And I would always love to be that example for my humanitarians who say that I want to do this work because I love this work. I believe in the cause and I will do this no matter what. Um, I want to be the example for those people because they know that if they wanted to do something else, they could, but they're choosing not to do because they want to do this work. I also want to be an example for humanitarians who are leaving the system because they feel like they really want to do something else. Their intelligence, their experience, their expertise are or could be valuable somewhere else. And they are believing themselves. They are trusting their ideas. They're trusting their skill sets, their expertise, their experience to building something new, and they know that there is at least one person. I'm sure there are many, many, but at least there's one person who has done it, who is successful in doing it, and they know that they can do it too. Because as humanitarians and humans in general, I think we all want to have other examples of whether it's possible or not, how it's possible, right? And therefore, we start then going and imitating, or maybe even following, or maybe creating their own version of what's possible for them. And I really wanted to be example for these people who say that, okay, if so and so can do it, why wouldn't I? Right? And I wanted to share my experience, my example from that perspective. And last one I wanted to mention is that I know that when I say to people that, oh, if I can do it, you can do it too. And there is a lot of this pushback I get from people saying that, well, you're just a high achiever, or you're just a person um, uh, who is different. I'm different, and somehow, like many of us feel like, oh, because of I'm this and this different, then it won't work. Kind of argument or objection that we have against our own dreams. And then I just want to just invite you to consider, what if you're also that special, or what if you're also that person who has skills like mine, who has um, abilities to learn like mine, and who can also create your own example of what's possible, right? I want to be the person who shows to everyone who is ready to listen to me that whatever we are wanting to do in life, it is a skill we can build. It is a skill that we can build that maybe was not there before, but it surely can be built now as of now. I just want to encourage people not to wait. I know I want you to explore, at least give yourself a chance instead of just killing it off before it even started. And therefore, of course, I invite you to work with me to get all the whatever the objections, whatever the obstacles you believe you may have in order to get to what you want to. Come coach with me so I can help you clear out all those obstacles and believe in whatever you want to believe in your ideas, in your impact you want to make, in your abilities, in your expertise to create what you want. Because that is really the purpose of all of these videos that I have been doing all this time. It's now almost 3 years that I have been, well, actually more than 3 years because I started even before I left my job. So that's why all of this that I have been doing, just to show that what if each of us has what it takes to create the life we want to. And what if we all, each of us, can be an example of creating that so that others can follow and say, well, living life following only survival or following only what we have to do is not worth living, but rather following all those dreams, all those goals, all those desires and doing it because we love doing it, that's worth living. And that's the world I would love to contribute to in the world. So come join me to do that. Thank you so much for listening to my journey, to allowing me to share what I have gone through and what I continue going through to get to create the journey that I really love going through. And I invite you to do that with me. Have a beautiful week. I'll speak to you very soon.